So I did. I was not very popular at that meeting when I said, well, it doesn't matter whether you're overweight or obese. What matters is whether or not you're fit. And here again from a fairly recent paper, men and women 60 and older. Here are the fit ones. These are normal fat, and this is not just height and weight. This is percent body fat measured in the laboratory. These are normal fat, and these are over fat. These are the fit ones, and there's the death rate. Here are the unfit ones, normal fat, obese. What is important here? Is it obesity or is it fitness? Well, you already know my answer to that one. So we do have to move on, and as I understand it, the wonderful prize that you folks have created is to stimulate research, and I think surely a part of that is, okay, how can we get people to be more active? What can we do for the population? Well, we have to bring the behavioral scientists into the fray much more than we have. I think you have some behavioral psychologists in your school, and we need to get them more involved. I've been very fortunate to work with some of the world's leaders over the last nearly 20 years, conducting lifestyle physical activity interventions using behavioral science theories and models and methods. Well, what are these methods? Okay, self-monitoring. Are any of you wearing a pedometer or a step counter? Yes? Some. How many? Most of you, I'm not going to give another test. Most of you probably have heard of pedometers and step counters. We brought these into the field in the early 90s. I got a Japanese company to actually give me 250 for a big trial we were starting. This is how you determine where you are in activity. How many steps a day are you taking? And we found this very useful in helping people reshape their behavior. You're now taking 3,000 steps. You're in this study with us. You know that's not enough activity. Let's set a goal for next week. Do you think you might get up to 4,000 steps next week? So set a goal. Next week in the group meeting, who made their goal? Some did, some didn't. So those who did, that's wonderful. Here's a prize for you. Those who didn't make their goal, then we turn to problem solving. Well, why not? What got in the way? What interfered with you reaching your goal? And often in a group discussion like that, someone will say, well, my problem, problem was X, Y, Z. Somebody else in the group might say, you know, I had that problem, and here's what I did about it. And so we're getting into social support. These things work. Not perfectly, but they work. We've spent many millions of dollars of our National Institutes of Health money doing large randomized experiments, testing these behavioral interventions. And here's my bottom line. Using these interventions, we can take sedentary and unfit people, and 2 years from now, we can have 25 or 30% of them meeting the physical activity recommendations. And you might say, well, piffle, 25, 30%, what's that? Well, what that is actually is the same percentage of Americans who fill their prescriptions and take them according to the doctor's orders. There aren't many perfect interventions. And this isn't a perfect, but you could, suppose I said I had an intervention that got 25 or 30% of the drug abusers to not be abusing drugs 2 years from now. Ooh, that'd be pretty good. Well, I think this is pretty good, but we will get better with more research. We'll learn how to do this better. And the way we should do this is to bring modern technology into the mix. An example I've used today, you may see this in the paper with several interviews. You're all alert people and you've watched the news, and you know that in recent months we've seen a phenomenal effect of social media. Twitter, Facebook, got hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of Cairo and Tripoli to get shot at. Maybe we could get some people on the streets of Toronto with Facebook. That's one example. We need to learn how to use modern communication technology to deliver these cognitive and behavioral interventions to help people be more active, eat a healthful diet, quit smoking, and the like. I think this is a big wave of the future. I like to say that if I could get my colleague Bess Marcus, who's a famous behavioral psychologist, if she could give you an hour counseling session every day for the rest of your life, she could probably keep you on track for a behavior. She can't work with very many people. And we don't even have enough PhD psychologists. I mean, we got a great one here. So get bachelor's level health counselors, and you're training these people, and that's good, and we need to keep doing that. We can counsel by mail and telephone, but let's learn how to do this counseling and deliver these interventions, again, by electronic media, Facebook, internet, PDAs, and so forth. I'll show you one quick example of our recent study in this area. We took people who were wanting to lose weight, they were overweight or obese, randomly assigned 197 of them to a standard care group where they got a really very good manual based on our research. Of course it was good. But here's your manual, good luck, go lose weight. Or one group weight loss, met with a counselor for 14 sessions over a few months. Another group met with the counselor and also got the armband. And then one group got the armband. What in the world is the armband? It's a device you wear on your arm which measures your total daily energy expenditure. And we know from, again, knowing where you are, what is your behavior. The company has a website. You can download your armband data. It says, here's your expenditure. And then you enter the food you ate yesterday. And it calculates your energy balance. And if you're in negative balance, it says, good on you, keep it up. You're on the path to losing weight. If you're in positive balance, it says, well, maybe you better reevaluate. So these are the 4 groups, and here are the results. The group weight loss group didn't do as well as I was expecting them to do, but that's why we do science, isn't it? Sometimes we get surprised. The group weight loss plus armband lost the most weight over 9 months. Remember, they met 14 times for an hour and a half with a master's level health counselor, had additional phone calls after those sessions. So it took a fair bit of effort, time, and money to deliver this intervention. This group got their armband, had a 1-hour session with the counselor. She told them how to use it. She gave them gave them one phone call a week later to see if they had any questions. So the cost of delivering this intervention was much less per person and much less per kilogram of weight lost. We just submitted that paper, in fact, for a scientific review. But this is just an example of how we can use media, electronic tools to help get people more active. So what do? Every nation needs a national physical activity plan. We have one in the U.S. rolled out a little less than 2 years ago, and the man behind it, the driver behind it, is here in this audience. My colleague Russ Pate worked for a couple of years, developed this plan. Plan is a comprehensive set of strategies to how are we going to address this complicated problem. Now we have some wonderful physicians who tell their patients about exercise, and we have public health efforts, etc. We need to be doing things in all of these areas to address this pervasive, I think, biggest public health problem facing us. We're getting started in the U.S., rolling it out. Canada has always done a good job in this area. Canada was one of the real leaders in bringing physical activity and health to the forefront. In this city, I think 1966, Russ, you correct me, Roy Shepard, professor right down the road here in Toronto, at University of Toronto, had an international meeting on this topic, physical activity and health. And then Roy, Claude Bouchard, Norm Gladhill, several others, what's Art's name? Art Quinney, probably others I'm forgetting, had big conferences like that in the 90s here in Toronto and published big books. So the Canadians in our field have been pushing this physical activity, public health thing for quite a long time, and I know you continue to do that, and good for you. We need to get all countries doing this. So physical inactivity is bad for you. Get up and move. Try to get that 150 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day, 3 10-minute walks a day will do it, and we need a lot of comprehensive programs. And then just something you can work on immediately when you get home tonight. Go to a search engine, type in these words, and watch Dr. Mike Evans' video. Mike is in the audience. He's a physician here in Toronto. It is a brilliant and creative piece of work. If only he'd picked a little better model for one of the, any of you seen it? Well, look at it and you'll figure out what I'm talking about. So thank you, Mike. And thank you all for your attention, and ready to maybe address some questions.